The vast emptiness of space stretched endlessly outside the viewport of the aging transport shuttle. Stars flickered like distant candles in a dark cathedral, cold and unwelcoming. Commander Elias Kane sat in the pilot's chair, his fingers drumming lightly on the console. The hum of the engines was the only sound in the cabin, a monotonous reminder that he was alone, or at least he had believed he was. Elias was a man carved from years of survival. Every mission left its mark, every loss etched into his expression. He had seen planets crumble, stars die, and friends vanish into the void. He had become cautious, cold even, and he liked it that way. Yet deep inside, a spark of curiosity refused to die. Today's mission was different. The space station ahead was abandoned, orbiting a dying star in the far reaches of the Andara sector. It had not appeared on any human maps for decades. Legends whispered of alien artifacts, some capable of reshaping human technology and perhaps human destiny. The shuttle shuddered as it entered the station's gravity field. Lights flickered on the control panel, warning of unstable magnetic currents. Elias exhaled slowly, his breath fogging the visor of his helmet. "Just another day," he muttered, though the tightness in his chest betrayed a different truth. Something about this station felt alive. Not mechanical life, but something different. The docking bay was dark, the air stale with the scent of ancient metal. Elias' boots echoed as he stepped onto the station, every sound amplified in the vast, empty space. Panels lined the walls, some still flickering with faint energy, others completely dead. Shadows stretched and twisted, seemingly alive. He ran his gloved hand along the railing, feeling a vibration that wasn't mechanical. A pulse rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. "Hello?" His voice sounded hollow, bouncing off the walls. No answer came, only the distant creak of the structure shifting. Elias moved carefully, scanning the corridors with his flashlight. Symbols he had never seen glowed faintly on the walls, etched in silver and pulsating softly. His military training warned him to be cautious, but a part of him, the part he rarely acknowledged, felt drawn forward as if the station itself was calling him. Then out of the darkness, a figure appeared. At first, Elias thought it was a projection or a trick of light. But the figure stepped closer and he saw her clearly. She was human-shaped, but nothing else about her was human. Her skin shimmered faintly, reflecting the dim light with hues of violet and silver. Her hair flowed like liquid light, and her eyes were galaxies, swirling with stars and constellations that seemed to move as she blinked. She smiled. It was not a smile of malice, not one of fear. It was knowing, enigmatic, almost playful. Elias froze, a chill running down his spine. "You're not supposed to be here," she said, her voice melodic, echoing slightly as if it carried the weight of distant worlds. "I could say the same to you," Elias replied cautiously. His hand rested near the blaster at his side, though he doubted it would do any good. She tilted her head, regarding him with an intensity that felt like it could pierce through bone. "I am Lyra," she said simply. "And I have been waiting. I don't even know if you're real." Every instinct screamed that this was dangerous. Every fiber of his being told him to leave, to return to his shuttle, to escape. And yet he couldn't move. "What's the catch?" he asked finally, his voice steady despite the unease curling in his stomach. Lyra's eyes softened, a strange melancholy hiding beneath the cosmic glow. "There is always a cost," she said. "But it is not the kind you think. It is a choice and a test. I can take you to places you cannot imagine. I can show you wonders that humans have only dreamed of. But you must decide if you are willing to change, to risk everything you know." He had learned long ago that anything too good to be true usually ended in disaster. Yet the pull he felt toward her, toward the unknown, was irresistible. Before he could answer, the station shuddered violently. The walls groaned and lights flickered wildly. Panels sparked, sending small arcs of electricity across the floor. Elias stumbled but caught himself, eyes widening as he saw a rift forming in the far wall. Dust and debris swirled like a miniature storm. Lyra's smile never wavered. "Time is short," she said calmly. "Decide." To the mystery she carried in her very being. He began, then hesitated. "I don't know if I can trust you." Elias made his decision. He stepped forward. Lyra's hand extended toward him, a faint glow emanating from her fingertips. The air around her shimmered, warm and electric, as if the space itself was bending to her presence. Hesitating only a heartbeat, Elias reached out. The moment their fingers touched, a pulse of energy ran through him, a warmth unlike anything he had ever felt, spreading from his hand to his chest. The station shook again, stronger this time. Alarms blared as the gravity field fluctuated. Elias struggled to maintain his balance, and Lyra held his hand firmly, anchoring him. "Are you ready?" she asked, her voice calm amidst the chaos. He met her gaze, seeing galaxies reflected in her eyes. He realized then that this was bigger than any mission, bigger than any battle he had faced. This was not just about survival or discovery, it was about change, about transformation. "I'm ready," he said finally. Lyra's smile widened, a mixture of triumph and something softer, almost tender. "Then follow me," she said. The station shuddered violently one final time. Panels exploded, sending shards of metal flying. The walls groaned as if the structure itself was alive and angry at their departure. Elias held onto Lyra as the world around them fractured. For a moment, it felt as though the very air was torn apart, a vacuum reaching out to consume them. And then, darkness. When Elias opened his eyes, he was no longer on the station. The air around him shimmered, filled with colors he could not name. He felt weightless, suspended in a space that seemed alive, breathing, watching. Lyra stood beside him, her hair flowing like liquid starlight, her eyes still fixed on him. "Welcome aboard," she said, her voice echoing softly, blending with the hum of the strange, living vessel around them. "This is only the beginning." And at the center of it all was Lyra, smiling, waiting, and offering him a choice he could never unmake. The stars outside the viewport shimmered differently now, as if recognizing him, as if acknowledging the start of something new, something impossible to predict. He tightened his grip on the rail, feeling both fear and exhilaration. "Tell me everything," he said, voice steady despite the whirlwind of thoughts inside him. Lyra tilted her head, her smile both secretive and inviting. "All in time, Elias Kane. First, we must survive what comes next." Ahead lay the unknown, a galaxy full of danger, wonders, and choices that would test every fiber of Elias' being. Yet, as he looked at Lyra, he felt something he had not felt in a long time. Hope. And perhaps, something more. Elias Kane opened his eyes slowly, blinking against a light that was neither sun nor artificial. The air was warm, breathable, and tinged with a faint hum, as though the space itself was alive. He was no longer on the station. Around him stretched an expanse of walls and corridors that pulsed softly, alive with faintly glowing veins of energy. The ship itself seemed to breathe, rising and falling as if it had a heart of its own. Lyra stood a few feet away, her figure radiant against the luminescent backdrop. Her hair flowed around her like liquid light, and her eyes, infinite and starry, tracked him with calm assurance. "You are awake," she said. Her voice resonated through the space, melodic but commanding, as though every word carried weight. Where am I?" Elias asked, his voice hoarse. He stood slowly, trying to get his bearings. The floor beneath him was solid yet soft, almost organic, and the walls shimmered in patterns he could not recognize. "This is my ship," Lyra explained, moving closer. "It is not built like your human vessels. It lives, it senses, it protects. And now it carries you. Not because of your skills, though they are impressive, but because of your humanity. Your species has qualities no alien mind possesses: intuition, emotion, morality. Choices shaped not only by logic, but by hope, courage, and love. That is why I sought you. Why would I trust you? And failure will cost more than you can imagine." "What do I have to do?" he asked cautiously, still unsure if he was stepping into a trap or a salvation. Lyra smiled, a small, enigmatic curve of her lips. "First, you must understand the mission. Then you must decide whether you are willing to risk everything, your life, your humanity, even your past, to save countless others." "How does my past matter?" "You must embrace it, or it will destroy you." Elias noticed the walls seemed to respond to his presence, the lights intensifying slightly where he stepped. He realized then that this vessel was not a machine. It was alive in ways he could not fully comprehend. "Where will this mission take me?" he asked, curiosity and caution mingling in his tone. Lyra's gaze drifted to the viewports, showing an expanse of stars and nebulae stretching beyond comprehension. To places humans were never meant to go, to decisions that will define the future of your species and the galaxy itself, to truths you may not wish to face, but cannot ignore. You will see wonders, horrors, and choices that will test every part of your being. His instinct screamed danger, but another part, the part that had been silent for years, whispered excitement. A life of routine and caution had left him hollow. This was something else, something larger than himself, larger than humanity even. "And if I refuse?" he asked, his voice low. Lyra's smile never faltered. "Refusal is a choice too, but it comes with consequences. You will return to the galaxy as you were before, but it will not forgive ignorance or indecision. I do not make threats, Elias Kane. I state facts. The universe does not wait for those who hesitate. He realized that Lyra's presence was not just alien. She carried authority, knowledge, and a subtle, quiet power that demanded attention. "I've survived worse," he said finally, though his voice lacked its usual confidence. "I've been in dead sectors, lost crews, faced horrors that should have ended me. Why should I believe you? That is the offer. Life is never simple." And yet doubt lingered, a stubborn echo of his past experiences. He had learned that trust was earned, not given, and even the brightest star could hide a shadow. "All right," he said finally, his voice firmer than he expected. "I'll do it. I'll follow you, but I need answers. I need to know what I'm really getting into." "You have courage, Elias Kane, and that courage is what will guide us. Answers will come in time, but first you must understand your place and the choices you will face." Elias felt a strange sense of weightlessness, as if stepping into this new path required leaving a part of himself behind. He followed Lyra down the corridor, every step filling him with anticipation and unease. Strange symbols glowed along the walls, morphing and changing as he moved, almost alive. The ship seemed to guide him, not as a machine, but as a sentient being aware of his presence. "Where are we going?" he asked, glancing around at the ever-changing walls. "To the heart of the mission," Lyra replied softly. "There are forces gathering, Elias, entities that do not think as humans do, that do not feel as humans feel. They do not understand hope, courage, or love, and yet they seek to control all that exists. We will confront them. But first, you must understand why your humanity matters." The hum of the corridors resonated with his heartbeat, and he realized that he had not felt this alive in years. Not since he had left Earth, not since he had buried so many friends, not since he had surrendered to routine and survival. Lyra's hand brushed against his as they walked, a subtle touch that sent an unexpected warmth through him. "Do not fear what comes, Elias," she said, her voice gentle now. "Fear is natural, but it must not control you. Embrace the unknown, and it will reveal itself in ways you cannot imagine." And then, without warning, the ship shuddered violently. Lights flickered and alarms blared, red symbols flashing across the walls. The pulsing energy seemed to shift, tense, warning of approaching danger. Lyra's expression remained calm, though her eyes glimmered with urgency. "We are not alone," she said. "Entities are approaching. They know of us, Elias Kane. You must be ready. Choose to step forward or hesitate, and the universe will not wait for you." And through it all, Lyra's presence, calm and radiant, remained his anchor, his guide, and perhaps the first glimpse of a connection he had long thought impossible. As they entered a chamber filled with glowing panels and softly pulsing energy, Elias realized the truth of Lyra's words. This was only the beginning. The offer had been made. The choice had been taken. And now the journey, dangerous, thrilling, and utterly transformative, had begun. Outside the viewport, the stars seemed to stretch endlessly, indifferent yet beautiful, waiting for him to step into a universe that would never be the same. Elias Kane felt a strange weight in his chest as the ship moved through the swirling expanse of the Andara sector. The stars stretched in ribbons of color, bending and twisting in ways that made him dizzy, but Lyra's presence at his side was steady, grounding him. Her glowing eyes watched him carefully, as if measuring not only his courage but the very essence of who he was. "You are ready," she said softly, her voice barely above the hum of the ship. "The trial begins now." "What kind of trial?" "Only then can you fulfill the mission." He found himself standing on a planet unlike any he had seen before. The sky was a storm of colors, swirling in violent patterns. Floating crystal islands hovered above a sea of violet mist, and lightning danced across the horizon in silent arcs of energy. The ground beneath his feet pulsed slightly, as if sensing his presence. "This is where your trial begins," Lyra said, her voice calm but firm. "Here you will face tests that will challenge your strength, your mind, and your spirit. You must survive, not just for yourself, but for all you hope to protect." Lyra stepped closer, her hand brushing lightly against his arm, a subtle reminder of connection, of trust. "You start by facing yourself. The first trial will bring your fears to the surface. Only by confronting them can you move forward." Crystals erupted from the earth, forming barriers and spikes that seemed to respond to his movements. Shadows stretched across the mist, forming shapes of creatures he had seen only in nightmares, towering figures with hollow eyes, voices that whispered accusations, memories of loss that clawed at his heart. Elias gritted his teeth. He had faced horrors before, but these were different. They were not merely physical threats. They were reflections of his guilt, his failures, the mistakes he had tried to bury. His lost crew, the missions gone wrong, the decisions that had haunted him for years. They were all here, tangible and accusing. Lyra's voice cut through the chaos. Do not run, face them. Accept what you have done and what you have lost. Only then can you move forward. I have failed, yes. I have lost, yes. But I am still here, I am still capable. I will not let fear control me. You are stronger than you realize, Lyra said, her voice soft and approving. But this is only the beginning. You must also confront the world around you, the choices of others, the consequences of inaction, the cost of intervention. Across it, figures moved, human and alien alike, engaged in conflicts that seemed endless. Wars, betrayals, moments of compassion, acts of cruelty, all played out simultaneously as if showing every possibility in the galaxy. Elias' mind reeled. I can't control all of this, he said, his voice trembling. No, Lyra replied. You cannot, but you can choose, you can act. You can decide who to save, who to trust, and when to fight. Your decisions matter, that is the trial. He realized that leadership was not about strength alone. It was about understanding consequences, even when the outcomes were not perfect. A figure emerged from the mist, a creature both beautiful and terrifying. Its skin shimmered like liquid metal, and its eyes held centuries of knowledge. It spoke without moving its lips, words echoing in Elias' mind. Why do you hesitate, human? It asked. Your species is fragile, your heart is weak, yet here you stand. What makes you think you can bear the weight of this trial? And I will fight not because I am strong, but because I refuse to do nothing. Elias exhaled, feeling a sense of accomplishment but knowing the trial was far from over. Lyra approached him, her eyes filled with admiration and something else, something softer, more personal. You have faced your fears well, but courage alone is not enough. You must also understand sacrifice, empathy, and the strength to protect even when it costs you dearly. Lyra's voice was calm but firm. You can save the child, but in doing so you may expose yourself to danger. This is the test of choice. With a swift motion, he shielded the child and guided them to safety. The storm above calmed further and the mist dissipated. The child smiled at him briefly before fading into the light, leaving Elias standing alone, heart racing. You chose wisely, Lyra said, stepping close. You acted not for glory, not for recognition, but because it was right. That is the quality that makes humans extraordinary. That is why you were chosen. There is one final trial, she said, her eyes softening. A trial of trust. You must rely not only on your own strength, but on mine. You must accept guidance even when you cannot see the path ahead. He realized that this was the hardest part, not physical skill, not courage, but the willingness to open himself to someone else, to accept help, to trust. I will try, he said finally, his voice steady but honest. Lyra smiled, a mixture of relief and quiet admiration. That is all I ask. Come, Elias Kane. The true trial is about to begin, and the choices you make will shape not only your future, but the future of the galaxy. And with Lyra by his side, guiding him, he felt a connection that was both comforting and thrilling, a bond that promised both challenge and transformation. Ahead, the unknown waited, vast and unforgiving. But for the first time, Elias did not feel alone. He had faced shadows, confronted fears, and made choices that mattered. And he knew with a certainty that filled him with both fear and hope that he would face whatever came next, whatever trials the galaxy demanded, with courage, with trust, and perhaps with something he had not felt in years, hope for the future. The stars beyond the viewport shimmered, as if acknowledging his progress, as if the universe itself was watching. And Lyra's hand, glowing faintly in his, reminded him that some journeys were not meant to be faced alone. The trial was far from over. And yet, Elias Kane felt ready. The living ship glided through the void, a luminous creature weaving through the endless stretch of stars. Elias Kane stood on the observation deck, staring out at the cosmic battlefield that awaited them. Before them, a series of collapsing star systems had become a stage for forces beyond human comprehension. Fleets of alien warships, dark and menacing, moved with precision and intent. The galaxy itself seemed to tremble under their approach. Lyra stood beside him, her form glowing faintly in the dim light. Her eyes, galaxies swirling within, were calm, but Elias sensed the weight she carried. For the first time, he saw vulnerability there, not fear exactly, but a deep awareness of what was at stake. This is it, Lyra said softly. The moment that decides more than one life, more than one world. Every choice matters, Elias Kane. You must trust yourself and me. But this was different. This was real. Lives depended on their actions, and the cost of failure was unfathomable. He swallowed hard, feeling the pressure settle on his chest. How do we even begin? He asked, his voice tight. Lyra turned to him, her smile gentle but firm. By knowing what we are fighting for, not power, not glory, we fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. For life, for hope, for the possibility of a future worth saving. That is our purpose. The alien fleets were formidable, their energy weapons cutting through space with deadly precision. Human vessels, scattered and underprepared, moved in desperate formations, trying to defend what little territory remained. The scale of the battle was overwhelming, and yet amidst the chaos, Lyra remained calm, a steady presence guiding him through the storm. You must decide where to act first, she said, her voice low and steady. Every choice has consequences, every delay risks lives. You will not have the luxury of hesitation. This was as much about judgment, intuition, and courage as it was about tactics. He felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him, yet alongside it came clarity. He was not alone. Lyra's presence was a guide, and the choices he made could shape the future. He directed the ship toward a vulnerable cluster of human vessels under heavy attack. The living ship responded instantly, maneuvering with fluid precision as though anticipating his thoughts. Weapons systems activated, energy shields flaring as they intercepted incoming fire. Elias felt a surge of confidence, not from power alone, but from the realization that he and Lyra were working as one, a team of human intuition and alien capability. Yet victory was never simple. As they moved through the battlefield, Elias realized the true test was not strength or speed, but sacrifice. A human vessel under heavy fire contained hundreds of civilians, trapped as explosions tore through the hull. Lyra's eyes met his, conveying understanding without words. You can save them, she said softly, but doing so may put us at risk. You must choose. Every instinct told him to act, to protect life at all costs, and yet he knew the ship itself was vulnerable. One misstep could mean destruction for them both. The weight of choice pressed on him like gravity, and he felt the sting of fear for the first time in days. He took a deep breath. We do what we must, he said firmly. We save them. As the last survivors escaped, a wave of energy tore across the battlefield. One of the alien warships fired a massive weapon directly at them. Elias shouted a warning, and Lyra's hand touched his arm, sending a pulse of energy through him, guiding the ship in a sudden maneuver. The blast hit the void where they had been moments before, and Elias felt a surge of relief and awe at the precision of her intervention. You trust me, Lyra said quietly, her gaze intense. I do, Elias replied, his voice steady. For the first time, he realized that trust was not weakness. It was strength, a bond that allowed them to face impossible odds together. The battle raged on, and Elias felt exhaustion creeping into his muscles and mind. But amidst the chaos, he saw the larger picture. The alien fleets, formidable as they were, did not understand human unpredictability, courage, or compassion. Every choice he made, guided by Lyra, shifted the tide. Human ships began to regroup, counterattacking with precision and strategy that surprised even their alien foes. Yet even as victory seemed possible, the true test emerged. A rift opened in space, a swirling vortex near a collapsing star, radiating energy so intense it threatened to consume everything nearby. Lyra's expression darkened, and Elias realized the danger immediately. That rift, it's unstable, Lyra said. It could destroy us if we are caught in it, but it is also the key to ending this conflict. The alien fleets will converge on it. If we can survive and reach the center, we can prevent them from unleashing destruction across the galaxy. The choice was stark: navigate the rift and risk everything, or avoid it and let the alien forces continue unchecked. The stakes could not have been higher. I'll follow you, he said without hesitation, though his heart pounded. We do this together. This will test everything: courage, strength, trust, and even love. The rift is not just a physical danger. It will confront you with what you fear most. Elias gripped the rail, bracing against the pull, and felt the hum of the living ship vibrate in response to the danger. As they entered the edge of the rift, visions began to flash before Elias' eyes. Memories of his lost crew, moments of regret, fears of failure, and fragments of possible futures. The rift seemed to know him intimately, testing his resolve, challenging his spirit. Lyra's hand found his again, steadying him. Do not let it consume you, she said. Focus on what matters, trust in yourself and in us. The rift tested him fiercely, but step by step, pulse by pulse, he navigated its dangers. Energy arcs snapped around them, disorienting and violent, but Elias' mind remained clear, guided by instinct, courage, and trust. Lyra's presence was a constant, a reminder that he was not alone. Finally, they reached the center of the rift, a point of calm amid the chaos. Here, the alien fleets converged, their ships poised to strike with devastating force. Elias realized that the final choice was at hand: intervene directly, risking both their lives, or allow the rift's energy to collapse naturally with unpredictable consequences. He met Lyra's gaze. "We do this together," he said, determination solidifying within him. Lyra nodded, her smile both tender and resolute. "Then let us end this." The battle reached its climax, a storm of light, energy, and strategy that tested every skill and every ounce of courage they possessed. The rift pulsed violently, threatening to consume them, but Elias and Lyra held steady, their bond and trust amplifying their strength. One final surge of energy, one final act of courage, and the alien fleets were forced to retreat, their forces scattered, their threat diminished. Exhausted, Elias slumped against the rail, breathing heavily. Lyra placed a hand gently on his arm. "You did it," she said softly. "You made the choice and you succeeded, but understand this, the trial is not over. Courage alone is not enough. The next step will test your heart in ways you cannot yet imagine." And yet, even in victory, he sensed the challenge to come. The rift still loomed in the distance, a reminder that the universe was vast, unpredictable, and far from forgiving. Lyra's eyes met his, galaxies shimmering within. "You are ready for what comes next," she said. "But first, you must decide what you are willing to sacrifice. The galaxy does not reward hesitation. Only courage and the willingness to risk everything can shape the future." "I will do whatever it takes," he said quietly. "Whatever it takes to protect life and to protect you." And together they would face Etelia's cane stared into the vast swirl of the rift, a turbulent vortex at the edge of a collapsing star system. Its energy pulsed violently, twisting space and light around them in impossible patterns. The living ship hovered at the threshold, humming with tension and anticipation. Beyond this point lay the unknown, the final challenge that would define not only the mission but Elias himself. Lyra stood beside him, her form radiant against the pulsing glow of the rift. Her eyes, galaxies swirling within, held both warmth and gravity, the weight of choices made across millennia. She reached out, her hand brushing his. "This is the last step," she said softly. "Once we go through, nothing will be the same. Are you ready? Whatever comes, we face it together." Elias felt weightless, as if the universe itself had paused to watch them. As they entered the rift, space seemed to fold. Stars stretched into lines of light, time twisted in strange loops, and the familiar laws of physics melted away. Elias gripped Lyra's hand tightly, drawing strength from her steady presence. Around them, visions of possible futures unfolded. Cities rising and falling, civilizations thriving or collapsing, choices branching in infinite patterns. Lyra's voice echoed in his mind, calm yet urgent. "Here, Elias, you will see what lies beyond simple choices. You will confront the essence of yourself, your fears, regrets, and your potential. To emerge, you must accept all of it." He fell to his knees, shaking, but Lyra knelt beside him. Her hand rested on his shoulder, grounding him amidst the chaos. "You cannot change the past," she said gently. "But you can choose how it shapes you. Accept it and it becomes strength. Deny it and it destroys you. I have failed, I have lost, and yet I am still here. I will carry the lessons, not the guilt." He realized that the difference lay not in strength or technology, but in the heart, the human heart. Lyra's voice pierced the visions. "Do you see, Elias? This is why you were chosen, not because of skill, not because of power, but because of your humanity. That is what can change the galaxy." All the trials, all the dangers, every choice he had made, it was preparing him for this moment. The rift tested him not with force, but with clarity. The universe did not bend for strength alone. It bent for purpose, for courage, and for love. Suddenly, the rift pulsed violently, a wave of energy knocking him to the side. He looked up to see a shadowed form emerging from the vortex, a being of pure energy, vast and incomprehensible. Its eyes glowed with cold, indifferent light. "You seek to change the course of history," the being's voice resonated, not through sound, but directly in his mind. "Why should I allow this? You are human, fragile, and flawed. You cannot hope to control what you do not understand. That is what I bring to this universe." The living ship responded instantly, deflecting the energy, its tendrils extending like protective arms. Elias and Lyra worked in perfect synchrony, human intuition and alien wisdom combining seamlessly. Every movement was a test. Every action carried weight. Elias realized then that this was not merely survival, it was creation. Their choices were weaving reality itself, shaping outcomes with each decision. Lyra's eyes met his. "Now," she said, "let go of fear, let the rift guide us, not control us. Trust in yourself and me." The energy of the rift responded, not with chaos but with harmony, bending to the combination of their courage, trust, and resolve. The shadowed being recoiled, and the vortex began to stabilize. Stars and matter that had been twisted by the rift began to realign. The galaxy itself seemed to sigh in relief as the threat diminished. Elias felt a rush of exhilaration and exhaustion, his body trembling from the intensity of the experience. Lyra smiled at him, a soft, radiant expression. "You did it," she said. "You accepted yourself, faced the truth, and shaped the outcome. That is the transformation." I never imagined I could do something like this." And at the center of it all was Lyra, her presence steady and radiant, guiding him into this new reality. For the first time in years, Elias felt complete, not just as a soldier, not just as a survivor, but as a human capable of shaping the future. He realized the offer Lyra had made long ago was never about a single mission. It was about awakening, transformation, and the power to influence the galaxy with courage and love. He turned to Lyra, taking her hand. "Thank you for showing me this, for trusting me. And together we will continue to walk it, shaping what comes next." The trials, the rift, the sacrifices, they had all led to this moment. He understood now that the universe was vast, unpredictable, and sometimes terrifying, but it was also beautiful, full of potential, and shaped by those brave enough to act. Lyra squeezed his hand, her gaze softening. "The galaxy is vast, Elias, but now you are part of it in a way few humans have ever been. You have changed it, and it will remember you." Elias Kane had faced impossible odds, confronted his fears, and embraced transformation. He had learned the power of trust, courage, and love, not just for survival, but for creation, for shaping the future, and for finding meaning in the vastness of the cosmos. Lyra's hand remained in his, a constant reminder that he was not alone. Together, they would navigate the infinite, face whatever challenges arose, and build a galaxy shaped by hope, compassion, and courage. The stars outside the viewport shone brighter than ever, as if acknowledging the journey that had begun with a single choice, a single smile, and an offer that could not be refused. Elias Kane took a deep breath, feeling the pulse of the ship, the bond with Lyra, and the vast potential of the universe. The adventure was far from over, but for the first time he felt ready to face the unknown, to embrace transformation, and to step boldly into the future. And as Lyra smiled, the galaxy seemed to whisper a promise. This was only the beginning. The alien girl smiled, and made me an offer I didn't expect, HFY Sci-Fi Story.